Jerry West, the man behind the NBA logo. Jerry West wasn't just a basketball player, he was the symbol of the NBA. Literally, his silhouette became the league's iconic logo, making him one of the most recognizable figures in basketball history. But behind the legendary status was a man haunted by an obsession with winning and personal struggles that few knew about. West spent his entire playing career with the Los Angeles Lakers, earning the nickname Mr. Clutch for his ability to deliver in high-pressure moments. He led the Lakers to multiple NBA finals, but suffered heartbreaking losses time and time again, falling short to the Boston Celtics in the 1960s. His relentless pursuit of success didn't stop when he retired. He became a mastermind behind the scenes, helping shape the Lakers dynasty in the 1980s, and even building the Golden State Warriors into a powerhouse decades later. But beyond basketball, Jerry West battled something much darker: depression. Despite all the success, he spoke openly about never truly feeling satisfied, often tormented by self-doubt and the pressure to be perfect. Few fans realized just how much he struggled behind closed doors. His passing in 2024 marked the end of an era, but his impact on the game was undeniable. After all, how many players can say they became the NBA logo? Bill Walton, the brilliant big man with a body that betrayed him. Bill Walton was a basketball genius trapped in a body that just wouldn't cooperate. At his peak, he was nearly unstoppable, a dominant force who led the Portland Trail Blazers to their first and only NBA championship in 1977. But behind that success was a career filled with pain, surgeries, and what-ifs. Standing at 6 feet 11 inches, Walton was a gifted passer, a defensive powerhouse, and a player with an incredible basketball IQ. He was supposed to rule the league for years, but his body had other plans. Chronic foot injuries kept him sidelined for most of his career, reducing what could have been a decade of dominance to brief flashes of brilliance. What many don't know is just how much Walton suffered off the court. He underwent over 30 different surgeries just to keep playing. The pain was unbearable, to the point where he once considered ending it all. Despite everything, he made a remarkable comeback in the 1985-86 season with the Boston Celtics, winning the NBA's Sixth Man of the Year award and securing another championship ring. Walton passed away in 2024, leaving behind a legacy of perseverance, talent, and unfulfilled potential. Dikembe Mutombo, the defensive wall who silenced legends. Dikembe Mutombo wasn't just a shot-blocking machine. He was an intimidating presence who could change the course of a game with a single wag of his finger. Standing at 7 feet 2 inches, the Congolese giant made it his mission to deny anyone who dared enter the paint. His signature move? Blocking a shot and then shaking his finger, letting his opponent know, "Not in my house." Mutombo's defensive skills were unmatched. He won 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards, a feat that only a few in NBA history have achieved. But what made him truly special was his ability to dominate without scoring. While most players built their careers on flashy dunks and highlight reel plays, Mutombo built his on fear that any shot near him was getting swatted into the stands. What many don't know is that he wasn't even introduced to basketball until he was 17 years old. Initially, he moved to the U.S. on an academic scholarship to study medicine. But when coaches at Georgetown saw his height and potential, they convinced him to trade in a stethoscope for sneakers. He passed away in 2024, but his legacy lives on. Every time a center blocks a shot and wags a finger, they're paying tribute to one of the greatest defenders the game has ever seen. Gus Williams, the silent assassin of the NBA. Gus Williams wasn't the loudest player on the court, but when the game was on the line, he was the one you wanted with the ball. Nicknamed the Wizard, Williams had an explosive first step, a deadly mid-range shot, and the ability to take over games when it mattered most. His defining moment came in 1979 when he led the Seattle Supersonics to their first and only NBA championship. While most people remember Dennis Johnson as the finals MVP, it was actually Williams who carried the scoring load, averaging 28.6 points per game in the series. His fearless drives and clutch performances made him one of the most underrated stars of his time. What many don't know is that Williams sat out an entire NBA season in his prime due to a contract dispute. In an era when players didn't have the financial power they do today, he took a stand, missing the entire 1980-81 season. By the time he returned, he was still effective, but never quite the same. Despite being a two-time All-Star and an NBA champion, Gus Williams never got the Hall of Fame recognition he deserved. He passed away in 2025, leaving behind a legacy as one of the most underrated clutch players in NBA history, a true silent assassin on the court. Chet Walker, the forgotten superstar. Chet Walker wasn't the flashiest player, but he was one of the most consistent scorers of his era. Playing alongside legends like Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry Sloan, Walker quietly dominated the game with his smooth mid-range jumper and elite footwork. His career took off with the Philadelphia 76ers, where he helped them win the 1967 NBA championship, a historic season that ended the Boston Celtics' long reign. That team, led by Wilt Chamberlain, is still considered one of the greatest in NBA history, but many forget how crucial Walker was in their success. After moving to the Chicago Bulls, he became their leading scorer for several seasons, making them a serious playoff contender in the early 1970s. He was a seven-time All-Star and finished his career averaging 18.2 points per game, yet he rarely gets mentioned among the greats. What many don't know is that Walker also made history off the court. After retiring, he became a successful film producer and was one of the first former NBA players to transition into Hollywood. He was also an outspoken advocate for player rights, pushing for better contracts in an era when athletes had little financial security. Chet Walker passed away in 2024, and while his name might not be as famous as some of his peers, his impact on the game and the players who came after him should never be forgotten. Attles, the heart of the Warriors. Attles wasn't just a basketball player. He was the soul of the Golden State Warriors for decades. He started as a tough, defensive-minded guard for the San Francisco Warriors, now Golden State Warriors, in the 1960s, playing alongside the legendary Wilt Chamberlain. Though he wasn't a big-time scorer, Attles was known for his relentless hustle, earning him the nickname The Destroyer. But his real legacy began after his playing days. In 1970, Attles became the head coach of the Warriors, making him one of the first black head coaches in NBA history. Just 5 years later, he led the team to an NBA championship in 1975, pulling off one of the biggest upsets ever by sweeping the heavily favored Washington Bullets. That championship cemented his place in NBA history. What most people don't know is that Attles spent over 60 years with the Warriors in various roles: player, coach, general manager, and ambassador. No other person has been as deeply connected to a single franchise for as long as he was. He passed away in 2024, but his contributions to basketball, especially in breaking barriers for future black coaches, remain a crucial part of NBA history. Junior Bridgeman, the NBA star who became a business mogul. Junior Bridgeman may not have been the biggest star on the court, but his story is one of the most unexpected and inspiring in NBA history. Drafted in 1975, he played most of his career with the Milwaukee Bucks, where he became a reliable sixth man, known for his smooth shooting and strong leadership. Though he never won a championship or made an All-Star team, he was a respected player who gave his all on the court. But what makes Bridgeman truly fascinating is what he did after basketball. Unlike many former athletes who struggle financially, he turned his NBA earnings into an empire. While still playing, he studied the business world and started investing in fast food franchises. After retiring, he bought hundreds of Wendy's and Chili's restaurants, eventually becoming one of the richest former athletes in the world, with a net worth surpassing $600 million. Many fans don't realize that Bridgeman made far more money in business than he ever did in the NBA. His success in the corporate world made him a role model for athletes looking to secure their future beyond sports. He passed away in 2025, leaving behind a legacy not just as a basketball player, but as one of the most successful post-NBA entrepreneurs of all time. Dejan Milojevic, the tragic loss of a rising NBA coach. Dejan Milojevic was never a household name as a player in the NBA, but in the basketball world he was highly respected, especially in Europe. Born in Serbia, he had a successful career in the EuroLeague, known for his aggressive playing style and rebounding skills. But his real impact on the NBA came after his playing days were over. Milojevic transitioned into coaching, where he quickly built a reputation for developing young talent. His work with Nikola Jokic, the two-time NBA MVP, is one of his biggest contributions to the game. Milojevic was widely credited for helping Jokic become the superstar he is today. In 2021, the Golden State Warriors recognized his talent and brought him in as an assistant coach. He became a key part of their 2022 NBA championship-winning staff, proving that his basketball mind was just as sharp off the court as it was on it. Tragically, in January 2024, while on a road trip with the team in Utah, Milojevic suffered a heart attack during a team dinner. He was rushed to the hospital, but doctors couldn't save him. His sudden passing at just 46 years old shocked the basketball world. Warriors players and staff were devastated, and even Nikola Jokic, his former student, spoke about the deep impact Milojevic had on his life. His death was a heartbreaking reminder that even the strongest figures in sports are never guaranteed tomorrow. Donald "Slick" Watts, the fan favorite who faded too soon. Donald "Slick" Watts wasn't just a player, he was a personality. Known for his bald head, signature headband, and flashy style, he was one of the most charismatic figures in the NBA during the 1970s. He wasn't a high draft pick, nor was he expected to be a star. In fact, he went undrafted in 1973 before earning a spot with the Seattle Supersonics. But what he lacked in expectations, he made up for in hustle, defense, and court vision. By 1976, Watts had led the entire NBA in assists and steals, a rare feat for an undrafted player. He became a beloved figure in Seattle, helping the Sonics rise as contenders. But just when his career seemed to be hitting its peak, injuries cut it short. By 1979, he was out of the league. Though his NBA days were brief, Watts stayed active in coaching and mentoring young players. He worked with the Seattle basketball community, ensuring his impact lasted beyond his playing days. On July 6, 2023, Watts passed away at age 72 due to complications from heart disease. His death was a somber moment for Sonics fans, who still remembered the excitement he brought to the game. Even though his name isn't as legendary as some, those who watched him play will never forget the energy he brought every night. Darius Morris, a promising career that faded too soon. Darius Morris entered the NBA with high expectations. Standing 6 feet 4 inches with solid ball handling skills, he had shown flashes of brilliance at the University of Michigan, where he led the team in assists and helped them reach the NCAA tournament. His performances caught the attention of scouts, and in 2011, he was drafted 41st overall by the Los Angeles Lakers. Playing alongside Kobe Bryant, Morris had a chance to develop under one of the greatest players in NBA history. However, despite his talent, he struggled to secure a permanent role in the league. Over the next few years, he bounced between several teams, including the Philadelphia 76ers, Los Angeles Clippers, and Brooklyn Nets. He also spent time in the G League and overseas leagues, trying to reignite his career. Unfortunately, his basketball journey was overshadowed by personal struggles. Morris largely faded from the public eye, and while some reports suggested he was still playing overseas, he never made a full return to the NBA spotlight. On May 2, 2023, news broke that Morris had passed away at just 32 years old. The cause of death was never officially disclosed, adding an air of mystery to his sudden passing. His death was a shock to the basketball community, as he was still relatively young. Though he never became an NBA star, those who followed his journey knew he had the potential to do so much more. Janis Timma, the Latvian star who never made the NBA leap. Janis Timma was once seen as one of Latvia's most promising basketball talents, a 6'8" forward with a deadly three-point shot and a strong physical presence. He had all the tools to make an impact at the highest level. His performances in Europe's top leagues earned him recognition, and in 2013, he was drafted 60th overall by the Memphis Grizzlies. However, unlike other European stars who transitioned smoothly into the NBA, Timma never got his chance. Instead, he became a well-known figure in EuroLeague basketball, playing for teams like Olympiacos, Baskonia, and Khimki Moscow. At his peak, he was a reliable shooter and defender, contributing to deep playoff runs. But despite multiple attempts to break into the NBA, things never quite worked out. In 2021, he joined the Orlando Magic Summer League team, but that was as close as he got to playing in the league. Off the court, Timma was known for his bold personality, flashy lifestyle, and high-profile relationships, which often made headlines. While many believed he still had years of basketball left in him, his sudden passing in 2025 shocked the basketball world. Details surrounding his death remain unclear, but for Latvian basketball fans, it was the loss of a player who had once carried the hopes of a nation. Oliver Miller, the big man who battled more than just opponents. Oliver Miller was a talented big man known for his soft touch around the rim and surprising passing ability for a player of his size. Standing 6 feet 9 inches and weighing well over 300 pounds, he was one of the heaviest players to ever play in the NBA. Drafted 22nd overall by the Phoenix Suns in 1992, Miller showed promise early in his career, even helping the Suns reach the NBA Finals in 1993 alongside Charles Barkley. However, his struggles with weight and conditioning became a defining part of his career. Despite his skill, teams grew frustrated with his inability to stay in shape. He bounced around the league, playing for teams like the Detroit Pistons, Toronto Raptors, and Dallas Mavericks before eventually taking his career overseas. Miller's post-NBA life was marked by controversy. In 2011, he was arrested for assault and faced legal troubles that kept him in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Though he later tried to turn his life around, his health continued to decline due to years of weight-related issues. His passing in 2025 was a sad reminder of the struggles many athletes face after their playing days are over. While he may not have been an NBA superstar, Miller's story remains one of unfulfilled potential and the difficulties of life after basketball. Wayne Hightower was a skilled forward known for his versatility on the court. Standing at 6 feet 8 inches, he played both in the NBA and the ABA, showcasing his ability to score and rebound effectively. Hightower was a standout college player at the University of Kansas before going professional. In the early 1960s, he joined the NBA, playing for teams like the San Francisco Warriors and the Baltimore Bullets. He later transitioned to the ABA, where he continued to leave his mark. His ability to adapt to different playing styles made him a valuable asset on any team. Despite his talent, Hightower's name isn't as widely recognized today as some of his peers. However, those who followed basketball in the 60s and 70s remember him as a reliable and hardworking player. His career may not have been filled with championships, but his contributions to the game were undeniable. What many don't know is that after retiring from basketball, Hightower faced significant financial struggles. Like many players of his era, he didn't earn the massive salaries that modern athletes do. His post-basketball life was a harsh reminder of how quickly fortunes could change. Wayne Hightower's story is one of talent, perseverance, and the harsh realities that many athletes face once their playing days are over.